What's up, everybody? It's the Rice Rocketeer bringing you the freshest two-wheel perspective of New York City. Now, today I wanted to deliver on a promise that I made a few videos ago. And that promise was to give you a full review of the Yamaha MT-07. I have mine right here. And now I want to start this by saying that I am not a review guy. I'm also not a spec guy. I don't really care about what's on paper so much as I care about how the bike makes you feel. And really, is it fun? Is this bike fun? Because that's why we all ride these things, right? Because they're fun. Most of my review will be on the bike, riding around. But I think it's important to just kind of throw a few of the notable specs out there so you understand what this bike is about. And then we'll get to riding. So without further ado, the Yamaha MT-07 is a 689cc liquid-cooled parallel twin. It's also known as the CP2 engine, which is found in the Yamaha Tenere 700, their ADV bike, and it's also found in the Yamaha R7, their street track bike, somewhere in between there. The engine can be found in many of their flagship bikes, and that should tell you something right there. To me, it says that this is a very versatile engine that is capable of a lot. It also should tell you that, you know, it's extremely durable and it's tried and true. It wouldn't be in many bikes if it was just a one-off. It clearly is their go-to engine. I have never come across a complaint about this engine in any of the forums that I've read or any of the reviews. Everything has been positive. So that is wonderful. It produces 75 horsepower and 50 foot-pound of torque, which on paper, again, doesn't sound like a lot when you stack it up next to all the other bikes that are out there. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, it is more than enough for what the average person needs. The bike has a 31-inch seat height, holds 3.1 gallons of fuel, is said to get 58 miles per gallon, although I found a little less, which is typical of city riding. I get between 45 and 47 miles per gallon. Adjustable rear monoshock in the back and right side up non-adjustable fork in the front. The bike itself is 411 pounds wet and ready to ride and does not have a lot of rider aids. This is not a tech bike. This bike has the bare minimum. It has ABS, which I believe every bike now should. There's no reason not to. But it does not have traction control and it does not have wheelie control. This bike, to sum it all up, is just a bare bones motorcycle that is good for the whole spectrum of riders. If you're a beginner rider or if you have been riding for 20 plus years and are just looking to switch it up, this bike will keep everybody entertained. I think that's the biggest question that most people have. Is this good for a beginner rider, or am I going to get bored of this bike? Or I've been riding for so long, I don't know if 689 cc's is enough for me. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't matter where you are in the spectrum. I can guarantee that this bike will be a ton of fun to ride. So I think it's better explained when I'm on the bike. So let's, get on the bike, go for a ride, and I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts as I maneuver through the city and get on the highway. I have nothing but positive things to say about this bike. So let's go. Jesus Christ, it is a beautiful day. It's so nice out. Man, I kind of like these back roads. It's nice because there's not nearly as much traffic ever. Alright. So the first thing I love about this bike is how flickable it is. See, I haven't tried any slow speed maneuvers here, but yeah, very small. And because the clutch lets out so easily, it just makes this thing a joy to kind of maneuver at low speeds. The thing that makes this bike absolutely beautiful is how maneuverable it is, how light it is, how easy it is to flick it around. Flickability. Parallel twin, nothing too crazy, but enough power to get you on the highway, but also enough power to keep it low and still have a great time. this bike is just, in a nutshell, really fun. The CP2 engine just revs out perfectly. And once I hit my 500 miles, got the bike serviced, and got the go-ahead to kind of let it loose, just like that, you really get to experience the full capacity of the bike and kind of what makes the CP2 engine as special as it is. This bike is really perfect for city riders, people who use it for commuting, and people who really want to have a good time on the weekends. It doesn't require much work, it's very friendly and approachable, which is why I think most people call this bike a beginner bike, or say that it is capable of being a beginner bike, as well as entertaining people who've been riding for years, because it can do both. You know, the mechanical feel of the bike really allows you to kind of become familiar with the fundamentals of motorcycle riding and to really understand what's going on as you land the throttle, as you take a corner. It's not trying to be a tech-heavy bike that has all these amenities and these different features to make things more pleasant. The bike is pleasant as it is. This is why we do this. We ride bikes so that we can kind of become a master of the craft and you know, hopefully learn something every time we ride. I don't think I'm gonna make that one. Go, 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 go. Fuck. The whole experience is just a joy. There is something to be said for the fun quality. I think the main thing that makes this bike stand out to me is the mechanical feel. There's a lot of feedback from the engine and from the bike in general. You're really getting a full raw experience, and that's very refreshing. Again, I'm coming from the Indian FTR, which had almost every rider aid imaginable, and it wasn't a hindrance, it wasn't limiting me in any way. It just you know, didn't really feel like I was connected to the road in a way that the MT-07 does. A bike like this makes this process of being stuck in traffic and, you know, getting around cars and stuff, it feels that much more alive, because again, you feel the road, you feel the engine, you just feel like you are in complete control. And for me, that's what I ride for, so that I can learn a new craft. That's where it gets kind of dicey. People start merging. Oh, we got a scooterist. Now, god damn, that bike looks pretty. It is so hard not to do that. This jackrabbit starts from light to light. Okay, so let's talk about who this bike is for. Again, it's kind of for everybody. I think beginners would have a good time learning on it without feeling underwhelmed. I think 300s, you know, nothing against 300s, they can be incredibly fun, and I think, you know, you hear from people all the time that they size down from their 1000cc to a 300 because they just don't want to deal with all the extra power, and 300s are really fun to rev out. And it's kind of the same with this 689cc engine. It's double the power of a 300, but you can still comfortably and legally rev it all the way out and really feel what it's like to work through every gear, but you don't have to worry about doing 150 miles on city streets. Definitely great for the weekend ride if you want to go find some twisty roads out in the country. Really, it's for curvy roads and or city riding. Perfect for those two purposes. I think the best thing that this engine has going for it is its predictability and its smoothness. So the way that this engine applies its power, that's a big plus, especially if you ride in the city a lot. You really do want to feel confident and responsive when riding, like here, you know. Yeah, that's a blast. And something I could not do in my Indian. Way too heavy to throw around like that. So one other thing that I really enjoy about this bike, the fueling of this bike is absolutely great. They say 58 miles per gallon or 48, I can't remember what's on the site, but you know, I don't get quite what they list, and you never do, especially because I'm riding mostly in the city, but I found myself to get about 38 miles per gallon in this bike, and it's a 2.7 or 2.6 gallon tank. So, you know, I fill up like once a week, if that, maybe two. But I never really have to consider about gassing up. Whereas with my last bike, it was a huge problem because I got like 20 miles per gallon. So I was filling up like 2 to 3 times per week, which just kills the joy and the freedom of riding. It was definitely worth it because that bike was a riot to ride, but for me, again, you know, when you take into account practicality of riding, that's something that has been wonderful with this motorcycle is I don't really have to think about it. I fill up once and I just go. Right now I'm at you know, half tank, and I know that'll last me, you know, 2 more days if I don't go for a long ride, if I just do city riding and do errands and all that. So that's a wonderful thing. See a cop back there, gonna play it cool. I don't really have a lot that I don't like about it yet. It's been 1 month, so you know, I'll see 1 year in if anything, you know, I get tired of or I just don't enjoy. But for the most part, it's a positive experience. Now, I'll just so I have 2 things, you know, to make this an unbiased review. 2 very minor things. I hate saying these things because they're not even really what you buy a motorcycle for. But the first thing that I do not like is the floppy lights on the front. They just kind of like flop, and that's a pretty bad look to have on your bike the day that you buy it. The other thing that I don't like is that the key is all the way up here. It's really a pain in the ass to get it in there, like non-awkwardly. And again, not an issue. But if I have to come up with anything that I don't like about this bike, it's just the design and the layout. The other thing is the brakes. They just don't feel premium, you know, which they're not, because it's a $7,000 bike. So what the hell do you expect, you know? If you buy a $7,000 bike and you are expecting to have premium brakes, best suspension, all the bells and whistles, you're just not going to get it. I don't care what brand it is or what kind of motorcycle it is. For $7,000, you're going to get a really, hopefully, reliable machine with some medium grade stuff, and that's just what it is. But I would say that for the $7,000 that you spend, which I guess is like more like 10 once you walk out the door, you're going to get more than your money's worth with this engine. You're going to have a great time. For any beginners who are considering buying this motorcycle, I would say you can certainly do it, so long as you have self-control and you will, you know, you're dedicated enough to go practice and learn how to ride, which you should do with any bike you get. But this bike does have a bit of power that if you are new to riding and you don't have a lot of experience on 2 wheels, maybe not, you know, 100% confident in your riding abilities and your ability to pick up motorcycle riding, just be wary with this bike, because there is a lot of power. And I think I'm inherently biased because I've spent a lot of my time in life since I was like 8 on bicycles, on skateboards. So, you know, jumping on a bike for the first time, really, to me, I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit mechanically challenged when it comes to the clutch, but for the most part, I'm going to be fine. If you're not walking into it with that mindset, then, you know, just be aware that this bike, while it's not 1,000cc, it is powerful compared to a bicycle. But I think, yeah, any beginners out there considering this is a great bike, and you will have it for a while. You're going to want to keep it. You're going to want to have a great time with it, and you won't get bored. Highly recommend this bike. I have no complaints so far, other than the trivials that I listed before, which aren't really complaints, they're just notes. A 10 out of 10 in my book. Couldn't have been happier with this purchase, and I honestly wish I'd done this a little sooner, but it is what it is. Alright, everybody, so I am going to, let's take the bridge. getting around the city. I think if there's anything to take away from this bike, it's how easy and flickable it is in the city, but then how rev happy and powerful it is when you get on the highway. It just allows you to do things like that. So much fun. I feel like a lot of these bikes that are new with all the tech and you know, with all the features, you probably lose touch with what, you know, the reason you started riding bikes in the first place, which is the craft. I know this would happen to me in a very short period of time. I went from my BMW G310R to my Indian FTR 1200, and you know, it was a huge jump, and it was fun and it was cool, but with the FTR, I kind of lost that bit of fun and excitement that that you get from riding every day. It's really nice to kind of get back in there and feel that again, because you know what, I ride every day so that I can have my little bit of freedom before going to work, and this bike gives me that, and I absolutely love it. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and you know, I hope my videos are helpful to some people. I'm just gonna ride, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.